Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today, I am joined by Doctors Tanner and Sarah Clark, the husband-wife team behind Clark Orthodontics, and two doctors I've had the pleasure of getting to know and work alongside throughout their practice journey for many years now. It's been so rewarding to watch their vision take shape and see how much they've grown, both as practice owners and leaders. But as we all know, the growth doesn't come without some hard sessions along the way. Today, we're talking about what it's really been like to build practices together, the challenges and surprises they've faced, and what those experiences has taught them. I'm excited for you to hear their story and hopefully walk away with a little encouragement that the hard seasons are often where some of the biggest growth happens. So let's dive in. And now, a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Hey docs, if your new patient follow-up depends on someone remembering, it's leaking revenue. Greyfinch automates new patient follow-up, texts and emails go out automatically, and your treatment coordinator just checks their tasks list to see what needs a quick call or a more personalized message. That is one of the many reasons I recommend everyone take a look at Greyfinch. It isn't just a follow-up tool, it's a complete practice management software built to help you grow and scale. Stop leaking revenue and get $500 off your startup fee with the Jill Allen special at greyfinch.com/Jill Allen. Are you thinking about opening an orthodontic practice? I know, it's a big decision, but saving 25% on the ADEC equipment you need to get started, that's an easy one. Because ADEC has a special program called Smart Start, designed to help you launch your first practice. You get up to 25% off your ADEC orthodontic equipment and furniture. You also get complimentary services to help you run and grow your business. And my favorite part, access to the Smart Start pricing for 2 whole years after you open your doors. That gives you flexibility to add more chairs as your cash flow grows. It's pretty smart. As an orthodontist, you care about getting all the little details right, and ADEC really got it right with this program. So if starting off with a big savings on ADEC equipment sounds good to you, the ADEC Smart Start is definitely worth a closer look. Just follow the link in the show notes to learn more. Tanner and Sarah, I am so excited to have you on Hey Docs today. I think that the show has been a long time coming. I feel like you guys are just old time friends. I mean, we've been working together for so long now, and I would love it if you guys wouldn't mind starting off. Obviously, I just did the intro here, but if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, each of you, your practices, and just kind of your journey on how you got to where you guys are today.
Sure. Jill, I'm going to probably take this question and I'll kind of help out with Tanner here too. But we have been married for over 20 years now. We live in Solon, Iowa, which is just kind of in the eastern side of the state, kind of right by Iowa City, home of the Hawkeyes, home of Caitlin Clark. Anybody know Caitlin Clark? We've got 3 boys. Our oldest is going to be a freshman in high school now. And then we've got a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. So they keep us busy. They keep us moving, try to keep us young. So that's great. Both of us enjoy kind of endurance events. We've done some tries. We've done some long, Tanner's done some 100-mile races. So yeah, endurance events. We do like to travel. We just recently were over in Germany and Switzerland. So that was great. We took the kids over there. We also like to just kind of relax by a lake, an ocean, something like that, something fun. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about us. We met in Iowa. We both did our dental school there back in the early 2000s. I graduated a year earlier than Tanner. I was a year ahead of him. We both had military commitments. So Tanner had an Army commitment. I ended up my first year of dental school grabbing on to an Air Force scholarship. So we had that commitment. once dental school was over, I went down to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. So I spent 1 year down there with an AEGD residency while Tanner was finishing up. We ended up getting married that year back in March, kind of spent our semi honeymoon at a dental conference in Atlanta, Georgia. So that was kind of fun. So after Tanner graduated, we both went over to Germany and spent 4 years over there practicing. I was in the Air Force at Ramstein Air Force Base. Tanner was at Landstuhl Hospital, and we were just general dentists in the military there. Got to do some fun things. I went down to Africa, spent a month down there with some Army Rangers. Tanner was kind of in charge of the hospital, dental department in that sense. 4 years went by fast. We kind of that was our honeymoon.
Yeah.
That was great. After military commitments were up, we decided we both wanted to do ortho. So we decided where we could potentially go to school and in this relatively the same area. So we just kind of went back to our roots, back to Iowa, and applied there. Tanner was able to get out of the Army sooner than I was. So he started his residency a year before I did. So when I worked as an adjunct with the 4th-year dental students, and I also worked in a private practice just out 20 minutes away from Iowa City for that 1 year. So he got done a year earlier than I did, and he stayed on as faculty. He worked with those students and just kind of took care of some private practice patients while I was finishing up my 2nd year of ortho. Had our first, was expecting that last year of residency, expecting our first child. So kind of a high stress situation that last year with getting through residency and just unknowns with a little one on the way. So then we decided we were going to go up to Madison, Wisconsin, and we were going to purchase a practice up there. That ended up kind of falling through as we were up there for the summer, the 3 months in the summer. During that time, we were trying to figure out, what are we going to do? Got a kid on the way and no practice. So we made a few phone calls. I ended up, luckily, I received a phone call from a colleague of mine who was working with me when I was adjuncting at the school. She was like, hey, have you guys ever considered coming back to Iowa City area? Because I've got a friend who's an orthodontist who wants to retire in the next couple of years. And we're like, well, kind of, we thought around Iowa City might be our best bet of knowing people and starting up our own potentially. So we made a couple extra phone calls and then decided that, what, this is the best for us. It's kind of between both families. We're going to go back to the Iowa City area. We kind of picked North Liberty, just outside of Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kind of a growing area at the time. So we decided we're going to go for it. We're going to build our own practice. And then in 2 years, we are going to purchase the other practice, which was about 50 miles away. So that was our decision. We moved back, and that was 2012. We built that practice. We had one employee. She was great. She'd had no dental experience whatsoever. She had a communications degree, which, at that time, it was huge for us. And she had just a huge work ethic. So for her to, figure out insurance, scheduling, everything to start with the business, we kind of relied on Heather to help us out with that. So during that time, we had this little son and we needed some income. We had one patient one day, a couple patients maybe in the next week. So we worked basically as an associate, about an hour and 15 minutes south of where we were practicing. So we would go down there. Each of us would work a day a week, and we would also do some military exams on the weekends for some income.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of some harder times there, but we made it through. And then knowing that we had this practice in 2 years to purchase was a little bit comforting. So got through those 2 years and purchased a practice in 2014. So now we have the two practices, one in North Liberty, one in Muscatine. We've got 10 employees at the moment, which help us run that practice. And we work 4 days a week between the two of us, and we travel once or twice a week down to that other office between the both of us. So that's kind of where we're at these days with the two practices and 10 employees, and just
Yeah, it's so much fun to hear the story. And the reason I wanted you to talk about this, and we're going to really dive into this for our listeners, everybody's journey, like we can look at, if anybody knows you guys are doing very well and things are going really great from the outside. You've been able to not only go through almost like a startup, 2 acquisitions, and then growing out of a practice, and then being able to build your dream practice and moving into that, and still having that secondary satellite location. And I think what's fun about this, and I want people to hear, is that there's never this straight line to where you're going to be. And I know we have worked together for so many years, as I have said, and it has been so much fun to watch how do we grow the practice in North Liberty? How do we grow the satellite practice? What do we do? What decisions do we make? And then to be like, wow, we're outgrowing the one practice that started off as our baby, our flagship practice. And now we're getting to design and move into another practice. And so, what I really want to focus on today is just kind of what it is like to be partners, because I have a lot of doctors that come to me, whether it's a husband-wife team or it's a friends from dental school that want to come together and do a partnership. But I really want to kind of dive in a little bit to the husband-wife dynamic, because that is what you guys know, and talk about what that's like running and building a practice together. Because I do have a lot of my docs too, who the husband or the wife may be the orthodontist, but their spouse is working in the practice and really digging in and helping them build that practice, where each of you were obviously both orthodontists. So not only are you navigating that clinical side of it, but it's just that we're partners and we've got to work together and put on this professional and live together. So I'm wondering if you can just give us some of your wisdom, over the years, what that has been like, what you have learned, how have you been able to silo maybe some of the personal and the business? Has that gotten easier, harder over time? Give us some insights into that.
Yeah, Jill. I mean, I think Sarah and I got on today, and I think we made an agreement that we're not going to bicker back and forth. We're not going to fight. We'll save that for home. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm going to be honest. I mean, I was really nervous about working together. I don't think Sarah really was, per se. I mean, at home, we can't even agree on the best way to fold laundry, who makes the bed right. We never worked together, in the Army or the Air Force when we were general dentists. And even when we were in residency together, you're not really working together per se. So being business partners was just a new challenge. I think the idea of running a business together really felt like it had like the potential for conflict. But for whatever reason, I think once we opened the practice and starting working together, I mean, we've always really been pretty locked in and really on the same page. I think we laid out like the same long-term vision for the practice. And I think it just comes down to trusting each other. I think we trust each other completely to make decisions in the practice. And I think that's just been really big for us in getting to grow the practice and getting it to where it is now. I think maybe just that trust is just a huge advantage, maybe that you don't get with like a traditional business partner. Being a husband and wife, we have that already just built into our relationship.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of different things, I think that's been challenging working together. But I think one thing that we've learned is just how we divide the work together. I think we've kind of taken the approach of like dividing and conquering, really. It's like, I think Sarah's taken on the lead of more like the clinical side,
Yeah. I'll do the clinical side. Tanner will do more of the admin stuff.
Yeah. And I think, another thing that we found too is that it's very rare that we're working in the same office on the same day. And I think that's been healthy for us, really. I mean, we're not having to see each other all the time at home and then all the time at work. So I think kind of staggering the time that we're together is healthy for us. And I think on the days that we do see patients together, whether that's like a debond day or just a day that we're busier, I think we really try to make sure that that's separated. One of us may just run the treatment columns, and then the other handles just the new patients and the observation patient columns, and I think that just avoids confusion on the clinic floor. Our assistants and our other team members they don't know who to go to in those situations. I think that just eliminates that. So I mean, I think another aspect, Jill, is that the harder part of what we do is that work and home, you'd like those to stay separated, but they're just not. Orthodontic talk, business talk, dentistry. I mean, that's just part of our daily conversation at home, at the dinner table. Like Sarah mentioned, we got 3 boys. I think kind of the running joke in our house is that they're either all going to become orthodontists because they've been around it so much, or they're going to have like no interest in it at all, so who knows? I mean, I think it changes each week, but you can't separate it. We try to do the best to set boundaries, but
and we try to, on our commute back from Muscatine, that's our time to kind of talk work, talk shop, that 50-minute road trip. I'm calling Tanner on the way home, or he's calling me. We're figuring out more of like treatment plans or anything that happened in the office that needs to be addressed in that amount of time. So when we get home, we can totally, focus on the kids, focus on what we need to, as opposed to trying to figure out it once we get home. So, I mean, that is one good thing about a commute, kind of get some work stuff done without having to talking about it at the dinner table.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is also helpful too, and I love that you guys brought this up, that having 2 locations and being able to split your time definitely, I think for a lot of doctors who have this opportunity when they have multiple locations and they're working together, it does kind of help a little bit with that too many chiefs in one spot. And to your point, Tanner, of on the team, who takes lead? And I want to just talk about that for just a second. If you guys can unpack this a little bit for me, because I think this is super relevant. I've worked with a lot of practices where we've got partnerships, and I have found from a consulting side that the more that you can make your systems the same, even between the doctors, the easier it is on your teams. And I'm wondering if you guys can talk to that just a little bit, and what you have seen as you guys have kind of evolved into these roles and who's taking what on which days. Now, again, you aren't working together as much as you might have in the past, where you might have both been at the offices together. But can you talk about that and the impact that you see? I know I'm kind of asking you to go down a rabbit hole with me, but just what you have seen and how that has helped with your team members when you're both there, because you may each have your own, there may be some things that you each do individually that may be a slightly different than each other, but yet what you've done to kind of help the team out there.
Yeah, I can answer that, Jill. And I think from a clinical standpoint, we share patients. Mm-hmm. So patients certainly have the choice to see one of us if they want. And to be honest, it seems like they prefer Sarah more than me. They can, I don't know, maybe that's just...
There are some that don't. Tanner seems to be a little bit more patient. So those high maintenance patients, those are the ones Tanner gets, which I'm okay with. But yeah, then some of them just would rather have maybe a female.
Yep.
So
we share patients, but we trained in the same residency, so our treatment philosophies are very, very much the same. We do the same wire sequences. We use the same bracket system. We're in lockstep, with our clinical decisions. I mean, and that's the advantage of working together, is that we can talk about cases. I'll see a patient maybe 1 week, and then 6 weeks later, 10 weeks later, Sarah will see that patient, and she's got a different perspective on it. We're still going to treat the patient the same way. They're going to get the same elastics. They're going to get the same arch wire progression, the same finishing mechanics, but there's a different set of eyes looking at the treatment. So I think sometimes our team thinks that we're so different in how we treat our patients, but really we're very similar. So I think that's been a huge benefit to the patients, and then really to the team, because I think it just makes it more efficient in the practice. And I think
what I was just going to say, I think that what the team sees is just the minor little things okay, well, Sarah wants to reposition this bracket, Tanner wouldn't do that, or vice versa, type of things. So they're seeing little minor things, but the overall philosophy treatment is, spot on.
Yeah.
From a standpoint of when we are in the office together, it's usually I will be in the clinic. Tanner will do new patient exams and recalls, and that's kind of how we split it. So then they know if they have they're the clinic team, they've got a patient who has an adjustment, they're coming to me. They're not going to Tanner, and vice versa. So they know that at the beginning of the day, who's doing what and which one of us they need to go to have that patient taken care of. And again, our new patients, we are I'm treating his patients that he has seen, and he's
Mhm.
treating my patients that
Mhm.
I've seen. So treatment plans, I don't have any question on whether he was going to take out some teeth or not. We're going to try to do it non-extraction.
Yep.
We just go with it because we know that we trust that that's the right treatment for that patient. So, but from a team standpoint, they know who to go on those days. D-bond days, we have our morning huddle. Tanner takes 3 columns. I'll take 3 columns. So then I know what assistants I'm working with. They know which doc they're working with, and we just go with that. Occasionally, a patient cancels, and I'll grab one, or Tanner will grab another patient. But for the most part, these are my 3 columns. Those are your 3 columns. Let's get through all these D-bonds and go from there. So they're flexible, but they know what to expect as well. So.
Yeah, I think, looking at just like the workflow of the office and how we've made, in both offices really, and how we've made them kind of systematized and really mirror each other. And I think it started out with using Ortho 2 Edge, our practice management software. It speaks to each other. The offices do. I mean, it's obviously cloud-based, but it really works well with a multi-location practice. So I think that's really been beneficial. And we started that from day one, and we've never changed. So I think that's just made it really seamless. When we ended up purchasing the Muscatine practice, I think we've really looked at like dialing in, like making everything as similar as we can. I mean, to the point where, we had the same digital pan ceph. We had the same chairside laptops. We had the same clinical camera. So when we go to that office, there's not a huge change with what we're doing the previous day or the next day when we're in North Liberty. So I think it just makes it easier when you bring new team members on. And then it just makes a systematized process that everyone understands what to do. And it just makes it easier throughout the day to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back, I can remember as we were kind of systematizing different things, just, some of the obstacles of, well, where are we going to do a new patient exam? And how do we do this the exact same in both offices? And how are we going to make this totally different office? So I think, again, going off of your point, it makes such a difference, especially when you've got team members that are moving between locations. You've got doctors that are moving between locations. If you've got even something as simple as the same x-ray machine or the same scanner or the same computers, you just want to be able to close the door in one place and open it in the other. And it's just a continuation of what has been going all along. And now a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Want a cleaner workflow for orthodontic cases? Meet Clarity Solutions from Solventum, formerly 3M Healthcare. The Clarity portal puts aligners, digital bonding, and retainers in a single streamlined platform. One workflow, fewer handoffs, and more control for planning through retention. Simplify your next case. Reach out to your local Solventum sales rep today or visit us at go.solventum.com/clarity. Again, that is go.solventum.com/clarity to learn more. So I want to look in a closet here. When you guys, kind of think back over the years, I know we've talked about things. There are hardships, hard seasons that we go through in this practice evolution, going from brand new doctors in practices where you're taking over somebody else's dream office and somebody else's team members into growing into, gosh, I think we might need to purchase our own property and build our own building and move into something a little different, to team members that come and go, all the things. And I think we've worked through a lot. But I'm wondering if you guys can just think back and think about maybe some of the bigger obstacles that you've faced along the way and what kind of helped you guys work through those.
Yeah, I think there's just have been, several hard seasons that stand out. I mean, there's not just one. I think the first, I think we've already alluded to, is just
welcome to business world.
Exactly.
Welcome to owning a business.
Yeah, I think the first was just starting our practice. It was the both of us. We're all in. We're both orthodontists. We had no outside income. We didn't have a safety net. We knew it was going to be slow for a couple of years as we built up our patient base. That reality was stressful to us. It really was. And we're not the only ones that are in that situation, but when it's you, it's stressful. We supplemented our income working as associates. We did the military exams. And like Sarah said, we had one team member that helped us out. So ultimately, you rely on those people that you bring on and you make it through those seasons. And I think that was the first introduction to it. I think we wish it ended there, but it didn't, And I think a couple of years later, it wasn't starting a practice. It was
purchasing an old practice.
Yeah, purchasing an old practice and an acquisition. And so buying the Muscatine office in 2014.
It was Jill that in that office, we had to redo the whole thing. We had our parents down actually, and they were painting, they were doing a whole bunch of stuff just to kind of update it. We had leopard print chairs and we're like, we can't do this. So there was a lot of just getting the office ready and just, it was all paper charts. So really just starting from scratch, taking over patients and really kind of getting into our system, doing them because a new patient exam on all these people, getting PanRx's. I know the orthodontist we bought it from, the pictures he had were basically patient with a sticky note on them. So, just really updating that whole office was stressful at times, being up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning down in Muscatine and then having to come back. Sometimes we kind of thought we might I think we did sometimes just rent a hotel and just spend the night and then work the next day. So,
yeah, I think, we learned a lot from that. I think it was a different learning experience and learning curve versus starting up a practice. But I think we really learned that we need to make slow changes. I think if you go in and if you're taking over an existing practice, I think you want to make it how you want to right away. And I think we were able to do that by starting out our practice, but it was a different situation. We had employees or team members that were already there. We had patients that were used to a certain way of doing things. So I think we took the approach of let's make slow changes and maybe let's just implement like one change a year, and a big thing. Let's bring on you as our consultant and let's just start from scratch and let's just build things from the ground up. Or maybe let's work on digital workflow like we did a couple years ago, where we have a scanner that we rely upon, where we're sending everything out to the lab. We're doing digital debonds. We're doing those types of things in the practice to make it more efficient and streamlined. And this year, we're implementing indirect bonding, and custom braces into our office. So it's those big changes, but just doing it systematically and doing it in a controlled way so you're not burning out your team, you're not overwhelming them. And I think it really transitions the office where in 5 or 10 years, you look back and you're like, hey, we've made a lot of good changes. It's a different practice, but it's our practice now.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then, another hard season that we've got coming up upon us right now is we've got 3 girls on maternity. We will be on maternity leave almost at the same time. So, what do we do?
Yep.
They all say they're coming back. Hopefully they do that, but it's just kind of designating their duties to hopefully somebody in the office that they can accomplish them, or, potentially bringing somebody on short term or doing like a virtual assistant type of thing. Luckily we have you guys to help us work through those issues and that time that we can get through. So that would be another thing, just with girls coming and going, I guess, and then dealing with their duties and designating and delegating those to other people. So that would be another hard season that we're going to be going through, I guess.
Yeah. And I think looking back on it too, I think everyone had an issue like during COVID or after COVID. And for us, it was no different. I think we look back at like the 6-month timeframe after we reopened after the COVID stretch. We lost 6 of our 10 team members, and just for various reasons.
Not due to COVID, but just moving to a different, going to go work somewhere else or moving, that type of thing. So,
yeah,
it was a turnover.
Yeah, it was like a domino effect. It was like, we felt like we had someone coming in the office every day telling us that they're doing something different, and that's great. You want you want what's best for your team members, but it makes it difficult to run a practice when you have everything happen like that at once. And I think, honestly, that was probably one of the most stressful periods that we had because, suddenly we were trying to maintain 2 offices, and a high standard of care. And we were running a skeleton crew, but it allowed us to reflect and really get clear on who we wanted to be on the team, like moving forward. we really wanted to rebuild our team in a systematic, careful way rather than just like throwing people and filling those seats quickly. So I think those were just a lot of different things. I'm sure our hard seasons aren't going to end. I wish they were, but who knows?
I wish I could tell you they were, but I think that's just
right?
part
They
of it.
come and go.
Yeah, exactly. So we've kind of talked about the seasons. I'm curious, and you guys have been great about laying it all out there because I think it's so easy, especially for younger doctors who are looking at it, to look at somebody and look at their success and be like, that was just easy. I'm doing this and I should be there. And 20 years into my business, I can look back and think, like, gosh, it sure looks easy to be where you guys are at in your practice life, but it doesn't happen overnight. And there are so many hurdles and challenges and things that you go through, seasons of growth and enlightenment that you that you go through, and hardships too, as you're getting to. And I think we're always going through that. And I'm curious, is there anything that has maybe surprised you, or things that maybe you weren't prepared for when you kind of look back and think about from where you were to where you are now, that you're like, man, that was something I wasn't expecting, or I thought I was going to have a forever team member from the beginning, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, really, Jill, I mean, getting rid of somebody, I mean, I would say that was what was one of my big surprises of like how hard it was going to be to let somebody go. Yeah. I mean, you think like, okay, if they're not doing a good job, okay, well, see ya. No. Sitting down and trying to have a little conversation, I maybe more than Tanner get more connected with those girls and kind of learn some things about them. And you just feel bad and just that, they have to go, it's not the right place for them. They are probably they'll succeed somewhere else, but it's just not, this isn't where they are at. I guess we've learned over time that it's easier to let them go early than to keep them around because of that personal connection and just kind of sometimes the negative impact they have on your team. If they stick around too long, then your team is just slowly going downhill. People start to talk, then you got some more drama in the office. So it's just better to get rid of them earlier than later. But in my mind, I still want to give them a chance also, but there's just, there comes a time. And so that was, I think, has been one of my most surprised of how hard it is to let someone go in those situations.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly don't teach you that in dental school or orthodontic residency, and nothing really prepares you for that part of ownership. We even manage people in the military. I mean, in the Army and the Air Force, but when it's your name on the door, it's a different way you have to approach things. And just to build on what Sarah said, I mean, I think it's one of those necessary evils or necessary things you have to do. Like there's a quote that we always come back to that we heard from Dino Watt, where he said that the quickest way to lose a good employee is to tolerate a bad one. So I think you always need to kind of keep that in the back of our mind. And we've learned that the hard way. I think, we've sometimes have kept people too long, and that just hurts the practice. It drains the good people around, it really does. And it's not ever something that you want to have to do, but it just comes with the territory. But it makes the practice better. The change is usually immediate. It's like a big cloud has been lifted when that happens. I mean, oftentimes people know it's coming. You can almost feel like the positive change, like in energy in the practice when you do it. So you just have to keep it quick, professional, and then just wish them well. And not everyone's meant to be, working in our practice or someone else's, and that's okay, And I think that's what we started to realize.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you guys kind of brought this up, because this is, as a consultant, probably one of the things that is an area I have to consult on a lot for doctors, because I think so many times we feel like everybody should be our forever employee and everybody should have the same vision and the same drive and the same direction that we do as business owners. And I'm going to ask you guys this, but from what I see as a consultant and working with doctors, all the time, is that I feel like there are seasons for employees, and there are different seasons within our practice where we need different things out of employees. And sometimes as our practices are growing and we're evolving and we're moving into new stages, the person that we had doesn't always fit where we are, the culture of
Mhm.
what we are growing into or where we're pivoting. And I think that you guys are saying that to some extent too. But would you agree with me that there is kind of this evolution sometimes where it's the team member that's evolving out of, they need to make their move into the next thing, but also a lot of times it's the practice and you as business owners that are kind of coming into what your vision is for where you're going. And just not everybody is meant to come along on that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just like with digital now, it's like
Mhm.
if they're not willing to learn new digital they're not willing to do some indirect bonding, or that seems to be like a harder process for them. It's like that's just the direction we're going. That's how where our practice is leading. That might be a stepping stone, or that might be, or not a stepping stone, but might be a hurdle that they're not willing to
Mhm.
jump over and learn if that's the case. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we've had some that have left, and some of them just have decided that wasn't the practice for them, or they're moving on for some other reason. But yeah, I mean, I think our practice is changing, and you just need to have them come along with you, or else there is no, potentially no spot that they can or fill. But I mean, we're gonna try.
Yeah, for
We've had
sure.
we've hired in the past as for an assistant, and found out that, what, she's not a great assistant, but she's
Mhm.
got other qualities, good personality, cheerful. Maybe she's a great front desk person.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move her to the front desk. She's great at scheduling. Now we find out that she's great at collecting money. So now she's
Yeah.
our financial coordinator. So she went from an assistant to a financial coordinator and working our front desk, and that's a perfect job for her. We're not just going to get rid of people as we evolve, but we're going to try to move them into positions
Yes.
that they succeed at, or they thrive at, that they enjoy doing, even though it might not be something where they started. So
Yeah, I think, you want to try to get the right people on the bus, the right people in the
Mhm.
practice, and then you want to get them in the right seat, and I
Yeah.
think if you get that combination, I think that's where your practice really takes off. And I think we haven't been there, and then we have been there. And I think that's where we
Yeah.
are now, but it's been a process to get to. And I think when you have those team members, you want to try to keep them. You
Yeah.
really do,
Yeah.
whatever that means. And I think you've always told us, and Annie, and Jen in the past too, is that you want to try to encourage the team to like make orthodontics a career. You want to give them
Yes.
like a path to progression. It's not just a job. You want to make it more than
Mhm.
that. Maybe they'll be here for a year, maybe two, maybe 10 or 15, maybe even more than that. So I think if you lay that out, if you give them a dedicated role in the office and what their duties are and specify that, and then show them that this is where you're at now, but who knows, if you want to do more, great. We'll
Yep.
provide you the training, the CE, the resources to get there if you
Mhm.
want that. But if not, keep doing what you're doing. You're a valuable part of our practice. We want you here, and we value what you do. And if you can relay the value that they're bringing to the practice and the appreciation, and tell them that, and tell that to other people in front of them, I think
Yes.
that goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So, as you guys are talking about this, and we have worked through a lot of this, I think what this really comes down to is also just growth that each of you have had, being able to stand in your position as leaders in a practice and being able to kind of come along and see what that looks like from where you started to where you are now to where the practice is going. And I'm just curious if you guys could give some advice to a younger doctor or a doctor who's done an acquisition or is just starting out as a startup. If you could give some advice on what they should be thinking about or doing, especially if they're kind of in a harder season. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
just to be yourself, keep focused on who you are, and then
Mhm.
not change it, because then it makes it harder as the years go past, or you do face that season of hardships, I guess. But
Yeah, I think, one thing that we've learned, from starting out is that we had to do everything ourselves. And I think you
Mhm.
get into that mindset when you start out, is that the only way that it's going to get done is that if I do it. And I think as you grow your practice, as you build your business and you bring other team members on, I think you really have to learn the skill, and it's a skill of learning how to delegate. You just really do, and you need to know when to get help. And that's okay. I mean, I think as business owners, I think you want to try to control everything. And like I said, when you start up, you're wearing a lot of different hats. You're the clinical aspect, you're the marketing coordinator, you're the HR. I mean, I think I remember us even answering the phone, for crying out loud. I mean, and that's scary, we should not be doing that, but we had to, and that just comes with the territory. But as the practice grows, I mean, those things need to shift. You need to offload some of those things. So I think we've been much more comfortable finding people who are stronger than we are, maybe even smarter than we are, in certain things like the soft skills, those things where you have a certain personality that just connects with people, that can multitask, that can run the office, they can do a lot of different things. And those are the types of people that you need to give those duties to and delegate to, and just let them run with it, because I think, it ultimately is going to make your practice better. And it's going to make our lives as the owners easier, where they don't feel like they're being micromanaged. Yeah. So I think that's been a big thing for us.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing I guess I can add is that just don't sacrifice the things that matter the most to you during those hard times. I mean, it's going to be your family, it's going to be your kids, it's going to be your health, it's going to be your spouse. But don't sacrifice that and put them aside to just figure out everything in the office and dive 100% into that, because they need your time too. And keeping your emotions under control and not letting them wander, and just being focused on that one thing that's really hard at the moment. I mean, that's going to pass. It'll get over it. You'll figure it out. It might take you a couple months longer, maybe, but you haven't solely focused on that, but just not sacrificing what really matters to you. And your practice is always going to be there.
That's great.
You never know. You never know. So.
Yeah. I think that's such sage advice. Learning to find those, it's kind of like the unicorn balance, right? Between work and personal. But really, truly, I think most people want some balance, and being able to do the best that you can and work on the business. I always say, work on your business while you're in your business, so that you can work on your family and your life while you're in family and lifetimes. And Tanner, I think your point is so spot on, that I think all of us as business owners start off as, with this Superman, Superwoman syndrome. We have to do it all. And there is a point, I mean, as business owners, we do have to initially start off doing it all, but then we have to think, we kind of get in that, I love that book, Who Not How, where we have to start thinking about, I don't need to figure out how to do this. I need to figure out who can do this. And I think when we can make that shift, as you said, Tanner, and Sarah as well, but if we can make that shift into who is the best person that I can put in place, I still need to have the understanding of what is happening within those positions as a business owner. That is really, in my opinion, as a consultant, when I see practices really take off, is when the doctors, I think so many times, become their own parachutes and really hold themselves back because they have to have their hands in everything and are not able to put those who's in place. And I think when you can start to do that, and I've watched you guys do this over the years, it makes a huge difference in where that ceiling is and what you can accomplish.
Yeah. And I think just to piggyback off of that, Jill, I mean, once you find the people that you want to delegate and you develop that trust with them, you involve them in the decision-making processes of the practice and the problem-solving issues that you have. I mean, so if you have a team member that comes to you with a question, you flip it around on them. You say, what do you think? What do you think is going to, the solution to this issue is? And then that gives them ownership of that problem. And then, they're going to take that. And because they've helped make that decision, and it may not be the best suggestion, but at least you're involving them in the practice, in the decision making, and they're going to take ownership of that. And I think it just helps build trust, and it just helps the practice grow. And it's just been really a beneficial thing for our team, I think, doing that.
Yeah. Well, and they just feel more important. They feel part of the practice as opposed to, they work harder for you, I guess. If they feel like they are part of the practice, they're going to work harder for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they're invested. Well, guys, I know we could just keep going and going here. And, you guys, so much wisdom over all the years and all that you guys have done. And as we kind of finish up here, if somebody wants to hear more about you guys, just pick your brain. Gosh, they've done 2 practices and a ground up build and all these different things. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you guys?
Probably email, Jill. I mean, we've got our office email. It's, mine is Sarah at stclarkortho.com, and just, Tanner's is Tanner at stclarkortho.com, but probably email. I mean, they can always call the office. We're there. Someone will get us a message too, if that's easier. But yeah, our office email is probably the easiest.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. And now a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite, because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at getsmilesuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite, because every smile deserves a suite of excellence. Well, you know how I like to finish up Hey Docs. I like to do a quick little speed round. Are you guys ready for a few questions?
I suppose.
All right. It's random. All right. So let's start with one here. What is one business trend you think more people should be paying attention to?
I'm going to say the digital practice. I think digital marketing, fully digital clinical workflow, indirect bonding with custom brackets. I think it's growing role in AI, I guess. And then that shift, I guess, it's here to stay. It's not going away. So I would say that the digital practice.
Okay, perfect. How about this one? If you could give your younger self one piece of career advice, what would it be?
Don't change who you are.
All right. Simple I love that. And then the final one, if you had unlimited resources, what's one big idea you'd bring to life?
So Jill, I think we alluded to the fact that we're having 3 team members now that are going to be on maternity leave. So I think Sarah and I have been brainstorming like a new office idea, and we haven't talked to you or Annie about it, but maybe Annie knows about it, but we're going to build a new office with a daycare connected. So we're going to brand that as braces or babysitting.
Or as Annie has suggested, Clark's Kids.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know what? I think this is, it is something that we need to constantly be thinking about for sure, because in our industry, most of our employees are females and most of our team members are, usually kind of in that age where we're always going to have new family members entering into this world and mamas and dads that need to take some time off.
There you go. Yeah.
So I like that idea. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of Hey Docs and just for taking time to be real and talk to myself and the audience about what it's been like over the last year. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jill. We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
See ya.